If you watched my last video, you realized that I destroyed the old Snorkel when I was pulling everything off the truck and prepping it for the Linex job. So what follows is how I got the new Snorkel on and incorporated some of the lessons I learned when I was doing the first one. So this is probably the better way of going about it, and to really get a good how-to, you're gonna have to watch both the first video and this video to see what the differences are. But you can see the main difference was the location of the inlet pipe. As far as the first one, I put it forward, this one I put it back, and then I also did a little bit different bend job on it, but otherwise it's about the same. So this ought to give you a better idea of how to actually get a better installation of a Toyota 80 series Land Cruiser Snorkel onto a 1990s Suburban. attach that using a piece that I cut out. You can see I'm sliding it over. I'm trying to still salvage as much of those mounting points as I can, even though only one of them still exists. Might still be able to clamp it in here and here a little bit with the fender washers that come with this. I've got bigger ones as well. I'll probably have to slice them down a little bit. I'll do that, but you can see to keep this, it's still spilled a little bit in there. That should be fine though. Keep this generally in place. Used enough epoxy to glue the Titanic back together. But that should hold it. Let's see. It's supposed to be 5-minute epoxy. It's still a little bit tacky, so definitely not playing with this for a little bit yet. This time I'm not going to be dumb enough to glue this in right now before. Alright, test fitting it on the truck. I drew the smaller circle first because that'd be the inside radius here. Seeing if I could just surface mount it and figure out how to glue it. That's not working out. I'm looking at how it all hangs between all the attachment points. I am going to lose that attachment point. Oh well, I think I'll still be able to make this one and this one work. This one I'll have to slice down a washer, but I'll end up here. Still waiting for all that massive epoxy to dry. 5-minute epoxy in my butt. I'm going to use too much of it, I guess. I'm going to slice through all of this. Pull that out, slice through. So I got to stay inside that line. And the idea is this will be able to slip in there and I'll be able to put it in there and do a slip. There's one of the funny things. You can see somewhere in the molding process they use these little aluminum nutsert kind of things and they mold them in there. I'm going to use that as a backstop for that. I've generally got figured out how I want this to fit in there. Kind of got the feel. Ooh, bleeding on the thumb again. Good. Doing this, I'm playing with all kinds of funny angles. I'm just trying to make the best of it all. It'd be awesome if somebody would actually just come out and make one of these molded for our frickin' trucks. As you can see, this is for Toyota 80 series Toyota Land Cruiser, and it's molded for the fender. You know, it's molded for all the parts of the fender. And we get someone to actually just mold for these parts and actually have one that sits tight to here. Man, that'd be fantastic. But thousands upon thousands of Toyotas are getting Snorkels. Couple dozen or less. I only know of 2 other people with Snorkels on their Suburbans besides me. So these GMT 400s not getting snorkeled, but I wish they would. So when they don't make what you want, this is what you got to do, and I'm going to do the best I can with it. That's about where I want it to sit. Should get me some good airflow. Also thinking about how to block this off here, because that's where the factory air comes in from there. Underneath the battery there's a little tube and it goes down under the lights there. But I want to block that off. I don't want any air coming in through there. I don't want the dust from the road coming in through there. salt and grime and all that kind of crap actually does, in a factory box, make it in there. With this, all my air will come from up there. So giant mess that I've got here. Should have put globs in 3 or 4 or 5 places, basically tack welding it in, because everything's dripping off on the inside. In the end, will that harm the airflow that much? No. But I could have been a lot cleaner. And this hole at the top is what I really want to seal off, so I think right now I just need to walk away from it, let this dry, and then come back and figure out what else needs more epoxy to seal it. I want to use epoxy so it's a permanent seal. The glue on this will be good because it's the same thing I did with this one, and that's pretty freaking solid. I could totally use the same technique to patch this back up, but again, because that broke, that, you know, you're missing a mounting point. So I don't know if this would be worth anything to anybody anywhere. Alright, let's let this dry, and then new snorkel on. This time around when I heated it, there's still that little lump there, but I spread more of the heat. Ooh, that's still warm to the touch. I spread more of it up here in the tube to get the tube to bend over more than just the body of the snorkel. And it's in there. It's up. Nice and solid on all points. Down in here, you can see the tube is more where I want it. It's coming out to the side of the filter. I need a new filter. I know those are reusable and all that, but this one got trashed. One of the things I figured out is this tube right here needed to be turned. Turned it that way, it pointed that more up and kept this, because before it was rubbing on the bottom down there. And so you can see the rub spot right there. But yeah, I think what I'm going to do, go take a drive. I'm going to go get me some Loctite expanding foam, and I'm going to foam off this thing. I think that's the simplest way to get this done. It may be messy, but it's what I'm going to do. And that way I won't be drawing any air from down in here. Foam that all off, it'll all come from up there. Should be a fun thing to do. Foam the whole freaking interior of that. And yeah, I do realize if I do that, that means I have to dig out the foam if I ever want to take this back off again. Which, now that I've got the Linex done, I don't see myself taking it off. Learned about Linex, and the funny thing was is Jeff over there at Linex said the same thing. If you're going to mask on Linex, it has got to be some really strong duct tape. Regular tape will not stick to it. That's something I learned a while ago. What I'm trying to do, stuff that in there as much as I can. I don't want any of the foam coming out here and causing me messes and problems. So I'm masking all that off, because you see in here, there are gaps. I'm waiting for that to expand up. That may be about all it is, get dry a little bit, so I'm not trying to fill the whole cavity at once. I prefer this Loctite stuff far more than great stuff, because it does better in a lot of ways. This is window and door, so it shouldn't freaking cause any problems as far as expanding things I don't want it to expand. It should just fill the gap and seal it off for me. So here we go. Walk away from it, let all this dry, and see the remnants of that can I was dumping into this hole here. It's obviously getting down there, because here's some foam right here. Which means I'm probably filling up a lot of this. I'm probably not filling the whole cavity, but I just want enough to block it off, and really from here on is where it needs to block off. If it's here on, we're good. And a lot of these little smaller holes, I was dumping some foam into them. That one I think was just keep going down. See the air intake box right here. Should remove that eventually and then foam it too. But that will require removing the battery, so that's for another day when I actually go to rebuild this air box. And this little K&N kit's not bad, because you can see here, 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 it seals against the hood liner, so you know you're getting mostly cold air. And you don't have it sealed here. I could probably seal that off with some tape or something if I wanted to. Which is what I might do, but you don't have this side sealed because the hinge is in the way. But not a bad little kit. It's just without this tube rotated down, you can see how it was wearing here, which gave me a lot of wear here, gunkifying it. Same thing on that side. I've got holes in it, so new ones on order should be here tonight. Put a brand new filter in here. I'll feel better about life. Enough, you can start pushing on it a little bit to keep it where you want it. Just be careful, because you got to make sure it is actually dry. This stuff does not come off your skin. I'm trying to just push it back. And someday I might actually come in here with some cardboard and stuff and make out an actual patch panel for this and patch panel it back. I had a thought, and the reason I used a coupler is that I can come back here with a 4-inch PVC piece and actually do an angle in here, an angle from there on into the intake, and do an inline filter. One of the guys on Instagram has done that. I was trying to remember who, but he did the inline filter, so he's got a totally water sealed system for his intake anyway. There's something in here. I think it might be this, maybe that's the air pump. It's some sort of valve for the air pump. This is the intake for the air pump. That frickin' smog crap. There's something in here. If I get this wet, it doesn't want to let the engine run. So this is not a watertight engine at all. This, for me, is for dust. But yeah, and you can push it back in as it starts expanding. And this will always be kind of a soft foam. It's not heavy. It's not It's not structural foam. Okay, check out what the mailman just delivered. Nice fresh new one. Actually comes with its own hose clamp too, a new hose clamp. That's kind of nice. See what I mean about how clean that looks and how dirty that one looks? And I've cleaned it. I've cleaned it several times since I've owned it. But you never do get this red look back to it. So, here we go. Also point out, it's hardening up nice. If it's out too far, I can slice it down with a razor. But yeah, this should work just fine. I don't know if I've got any holes in here. I think I'm sealed pretty good. If anything, I'll come through and I'll slice some of this even with it. And I've thought about actually doing a patch panel. If I do a patch panel, probably easiest to do out of ABS plastic. Might do that. We'll see in the future. Well, it depends on how I decide to actually rectify this box and make an actual real sealed box. So, any which way, for now, let's get a new filter in here. So this thing that's all been wrecked can go to the garbage. There we go, it's in and feeling all around. It's not making contact with anything, so I'm not going to get any rub holes like it was before. Curious, I'm spilling coolant. I must be overfilled. Well, yeah, this completes it. Nice new clean air filter. Nice new snorkel. That should have us running pretty. And now this time the snorkel's actually sealed off. One of the things I was looking at, I didn't get too much spillage back in here and under. I was worried about it coming out. If I'd had it poof out of here, then it'd be a mess. But didn't even have to have the tape on there, really. You can see some of it got in there, if you can see down in there. But I'm pretty confident I have a seal. And now the only air coming into this box comes from there. Alright, you come this far, appreciate you watching. Hope it did you some good if you're considering a snorkel for your GMT 400. And we'll catch you on the next one.